Okay, it is time to cut the rest of the 4-door parts off of this 2-door Nova that has been disguised as a 4-door since it left the factory. But first, I've got to clean it out because it's full of leaves and stuff from sitting outside, and I don't want any fires starting when I start grinding and cutting on this thing. So you can see it is full of leaves and pine straw and stuff like that, especially down these little cracks and crevices between things, and I don't want that stuff to catch on fire when I start grinding. So what we're going to do is get it cleaned out real good, get the seed out of it, and then we'll start cutting. Okay, so I got most of the leaves and stuff cleaned out. I got both doors off. The passenger door was a pain. I had to actually get in there with a saw and cut the pins. I didn't tear up the door or the hinges on the car, so that's good. I'm not reusing the door, but still. I can't get the leaves down out of here, so I'm just going to pour a little bit of water in there, keep my fire extinguisher close by, and hope for the best. Because this wheelhouse right here, the wheelhouse and this edge right here is all the same as the 2-door. This jamb, everything from right here all the way down pretty much to here is all got to come out. So I'm going to cut it right down here to the top of the wheel lip, and I'm going to cut it through here, and then I'm going to cut right here all the way up, and then I'm going to take that section out, and then I'll get what's left of this piece off of the inner wheelhouse after that's done. I'm going to do that to both sides. Then I've got to get the rest of my B-pillar stuff off of the rocker here. Then I'm going to test fit the driver's door that I've got and make sure that the door is going to fit with no problems, because I've measured and angled and looked and calculated stuff, but I haven't actually tried to fit anything from the 2-door yet. So we're going to get these up on both sides, and then we're going to get these cut off on both sides, and after we get this cut off, then we have to take this piece right here off because it is also different. And this piece is going to be the most challenging because it attaches to the top of the inner wheelhouse, it attaches to the package tray, and it attaches back here. I mean, it's all to the package tray, but it actually goes underneath what would be the deck filler and quarter panel. But we'll have to figure out how we're going to cut that out. I might have to cut more of the quarter panel to get to this. Alright, so after a few hours of cutting, grinding, beating, banging, drilling, bleeding, a couple other things, we've now got all the 4-door stuff off of this car. Now everything that's left should be the same as 2-door, or so close you wouldn't know the difference anyway. So let's check it out. Alright, so I got my B-pillar stuff off of there, off both sides. I've still got some welds and stuff, some leftover spot weld stuff to grind down, but it's just minimal. I got my door jamb for the back door. It's gone, and as much of the quarter is left, I think is the same as a 2-door. Maybe something different right down here, but I'm not sure until I start looking a little closer. The inner structure, the inner quarter or inner sail panel area, because I guess the inner quarter would be here. You've got this piece that's here that goes all the way up, and that is your where your window regulator and all that mounts on a 2-door. All that stuff goes up into here, and it might be multiple pieces, but anyway, it ties in with this piece. Now this piece isn't in the way. I did cut it down here. but I may leave this, I may fix that, leave this in here and attach the two-door section up here instead of down here where it's cut. So I'm not real sure yet. This is on the back side of that. Probably pretty tough to get to do it, I say right, but nothing about this is right. So anyway, I'll figure that out when I get the rest of it in here. Got the other side done the same way. Everything is done. Still some cleaning up to do, but for the most part, all of the four-door specific stuff is off this car. Everything from here on out on this car should be the same as a two-door. So when I put my other two-door parts on here, it should be pretty much, you know, figure out where everything goes and set it down in place and start welding. Now the hardest part of this is going to be getting the windshield frame the right height and even from side to side, and that's what we're going to do now. All right, so here's the front end of the car I'm going to be using. Now yes, it would be easier to just take this whole front end and put it on there, but that's not how we're doing this. First thing I need to do is get my drip rail, my bolt-on drip rails, get those off so that I'm not cutting those in half. And then I've got to figure out where I'm going to measure from. I've got to find a point that's pretty much going to be the same on both cars. And I think I'm going to try to measure from my bolt hole for the fender and then measure up. I'm going to see if the screw holes for the bolt-on drip rail, see if those are in the same spot on both cars, and if they are, I can measure from those. That'd be a little bit easier. And then I'm going to use my portaband to make a very, very straight cut wherever I need to on this to match the other side on the car. Now the ones on the car are not even, so I've got to measure on the car also and then get those to an even spot, cut there, and then get this section, the top section, cut off and move to the other car. But I'm also going to take a bunch of measurements going across the windshield here to make sure that I can measure and make sure this thing's in the right spot and straight and all of that. All right, so I took some measurements and I wanted to use a reference point I could get to on both cars, so I used my defrost vents, which should be about in the same place. So I measured from the end of this defrost vent to right here, and I marked where I actually measured it, and I got 19 1/8 inches. I measured from the end of this defrost vent and I got 19 1/4 inches. 19 1/4 on the end of this one, and then I got 19 on the end of this one, which I'm okay with that. Now I'm going to measure a few other spots, but basically that gives me an idea of what I can do as far as when I hook this to the other car. I need to get the same measurements to make sure my glass is roughly going to fit and everything's going to be mostly where it needs to be. All right, so what I did is I found a common measuring point between the two-door and the four-door. Between my fender bolt hole center here and the first screw that holds my drip rail on, I measured 5 3/4 inches. It's the same on the four-door and the two-door. The second hole is not the same, so I can't use it as a reference point, but now I can use this as a reference point. So if I measure from here up on this A-pillar and cut it, and I measure up from there up on the other A-pillar and cut it, I should have the right length where I want to be. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from my bolt hole, my screw hole that I know is in the same spot. I'm going to measure up, make sure both of these pieces of A-pillar are the same length, which I'm pretty sure they're not, because I didn't try to get them close when I cut the roof off of it. But once I get them cut and even, then I can measure up from here to there, make sure I'm in the same spot, and cut the outside or the other piece, and then I should have the right length with minimal trimming or fitting. All right, I'm measuring right here, and I'm going to go up and measure where my cut line is over there, which is 10 3/4. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to cut this across, and hopefully it's going to work out okay. Well, I might cut it a hair long if I'm going to leave. If I want to err to one side, I want to cut it too long so I can trim it to fit instead of having to make some metal appear. Okay, so if I'm shorter, if I measure less here, I've got longer on this side. That's right. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. All right, no going back after this. All right, so I've got my ends dressed up. I did have to grind this one down a little bit because it wasn't a straight cut. Did the same thing on the other side. Now I'm gonna, I've got my ends dressed up. Gonna get my buddy Joe to hold this thing in place and hold it there while I tack it, and then get some measurements. But I think we kind of measured a little bit while we were holding it up there, and it's really close. But we're gonna get get it up there, get it tacked in place so it'll stand on its own. Use a straight edge to make sure we're at the right angle. Might add a few more tacks to it, and then we'll see where we're at.
Let me get a good position here. Good. That's probably the most comfortable I can be. Try not to step in a hole. Look at that, dude.
Plug it in yet? I got nothing.
I'm gonna hold it. So if you don't know how to weld, don't do this to a car.
That's pretty much it.
Public service announcement.
I'd say it's more important if you don't know how to cut.
Yeah, true. Okay, let me know when you're gonna hit it before. Well, I'm gonna worry about this side. You worry about that side, and I'm gonna keep looking over here.
Don't worry about that side. Let me get this side straight.
I'm gonna just hold it. I'm not looking at you.
Don't move it. Oh, I blew a hole in it. How about that?
It's not like it's rusted metal or anything.
I'm gonna come over to that side. So I'm gonna come over to that side.
Drop a little water. And the leaves. Wasn't over fall leaves. What could possibly go wrong?
Out.
You done?
Yes, I just tried to blow through my helmet. Yes, I did. All right, so we've got it tacked in place. We're trying to check it now, see if it's straight. I think it needs to. I think the roof needs to go back that way just a little bit because we've got a bigger gap on the back side of the A pillar than we do on the front. The front's tacked, and that one's got a pretty good gap on it. That one's not bad at all, but I think this whole thing's got to rotate back. We're gonna keep measuring it and figure it out. All right, so here's what we've got. I've got a little bit of a gap back here, but I'm also this way with the top piece of this, so the whole thing's got to lean back. Now, right here, I had measured 19 inches exactly before from this edge, and now I'm pretty much right at 19. I was at 19 and a quarter here, and 19 and a quarter here from the insides of the defrost vents. Now I'm at an 19 and an eighth here, 19 and an eighth here, and I'm at 19 down there, which I was at an eighth. So, and that side needs to come down a little bit too, because the gap on the back is actually wider than this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind a little bit of my weld, get it to go back just a little bit, but I'm not going to adjust it too much, if at all, right now, because I'm going to probably wait until I get the rest of the roof on and then try to line up this edge too, because all this stuff was cut and it really should be separated by the width of a saw blade, and it should be really close to the right height, because I'm kind of try to get this to line up with the other roof section. I hope that's the plan. All right, so I went out in my junk pile. I grabbed this driver's side door. We're going to throw it on here and hopefully prove that the windshield pillar angle is the same between a 2-door and 4-door. Kind of late to be doing that now that I've cut 2 cars up, but this thing should fit fine. We're going to get it on there and see how close it is.
Top?
No, top and top.
Okay.
All right, we're going to try to get this door set on here. Grab the back. Of course, I could have, let me knock these bushings out of the way. Okay. The door's got to open so I can get the open
Look at
place.
this. You can already see it.
Yeah, pretty good, huh? All right, come on. You got to come open a bunch. All right, hang on right there.
me to hold it up, down, or anything? Just...
Pick up one a little bit. Ooh. All right, cool. All right, so there's the door on the car. Now, I got a fairly even gap on my fender. I've got an even gap all the way across the bottom. And I've got a straight and even gap right here. This does need to come down a little bit, but that whole thing is going to come down anyway. So yeah, looking pretty good. All right, just for fun, I took an old windshield and put in here, and it fits pretty good. Now it's broken, and I just broke it some more, but it fits pretty good. I got to do some adjusting over here. Something's holding it. I got something under it over here that's holding it up off the A-pillar, but yeah, looking pretty good. Well, there you go. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for a while for this 4-door to 2-door conversion to continue, and I'm sorry it took so long, but this is a lot of work. I wanted to make sure I had everything in order to be able to start on it. So anyway, still got a bunch to do. I'm not sure how well the back is going to fit. I know it's going to fit, but I'm not sure how hard it's going to be to get that to set in place and get everything lined up. I'm going to use the door as a reference. Now it only has one pin in it right now. The bottom pin, I couldn't get one in there because it still had a piece of the old pin in this door where it had been cut off before. So I didn't realize that when I stuck the top pin in it. So it's close though. It's really close. Everything's going to work good. Got the old glass in there to kind of test fit the windshield. That looks like it's going to be okay. So a little bit of tweaking to do, and I won't really fully weld that until I get the back half of the body on. So yeah, you can convert a 4-door to a 2-door. It's a total waste of time, terrible idea, because you pretty much have to start with 2 crappy cars, and then you put them together and you end up with a really, really crappy car at the end. But it's going to be a solid, safe 2-door. Now I know a lot of people are complaining that you didn't brace the car up before you cut the roof off. Well, so what? I mean, the roof gives you torsional strength, so it keeps the car from flexing this way, not back and forth. The scope of this project, I'm not worried about it. It's going to be fine. It's going to be welded back together. It's going to be safe when I'm done with it. It'll probably be a streetable car. I'll probably put it on the street. I've actually got a buddy of mine that's interested in buying it when I'm done. So anyway, yeah, 4-door to 2-door, a whole bunch more coming. Subscribe, like, we'll see you next time.